Are you still struggling with credit cards and YNAB? Don't worry, we've all been there. I'm going to show you how we can look at credit cards and YNAB a little bit differently. I'm going to show you some visualizations of how the envelopes are actually moving money and getting recorded in behind the scenes that hopefully will make it a little bit easier to understand than just watching the screen and moving those things around. So we're going to jump right into it. And the first thing we're going to look at is using your credit card when you have fully funded your category. So what we're going to do is we're going to see here we have our hobby envelope, and the hobby envelope has $50 assigned to it, so it's $50 balance. And we can see the I've put $50 cash in it. Item image at the bottom where hobby shows $50, 0 and 50 in the blue box. That is the same as what we have as if we wrote on the envelope. Key thing to understand, the assigned column, you will assign the money in that budget screen. Activity reflects all activity across all your different accounts. So if it's on a credit card or a cash account, anything like that. And then the balance is $50. So in this case, we've assigned $50 out of our money, and we have our credit card with nothing. The next thing that's going to happen is we record that we've spent $50 on our credit card, let's say our Visa. And what would happen is on our envelope, we would show an activity of minus $50, which means we have no money left in that category anymore of hobby. So 50 minus 50 give us a balance of 0. But I can see that my credit card still has money in it right now. So what happens is YNAB then automatically moves that $50 to our credit card payment category. It records $50 under activity. Now that is funded activity, and that will then have a balance of $50 to pay the credit card. And then if we come out and look at our budget screen, we can say that our credit card has $50 to pay it, and our credit card account, our Visa, has minus $50. So we owe the credit card company $50, and we have $50 set aside. So when we always talk about those equal but opposite, that's what we're talking about. And as well, you can see that the hobby is reflecting we had $50, we spent $50, we have nothing left in that category. The next thing I'm going to show you is the actual payment of the credit card. So let's jump back into the visual. Here we have our credit card payment category, that $50 we set aside for the hobby. So we have $50 cash is sitting in the envelope, ready to pay the credit card company. Now I'm going to send that $50 to the credit card company and record that on YNAB in my account. So I can see my $50 is leaving to go to Visa, and I record that I sent negative $50, and now I have 0 left in my credit card payment. And when I come back out, I can see I have 0 in my credit card payment category, and I owe 0 to Visa. Now we've all had that scenario where we go and make a purchase, but we don't have any money in our category. We didn't think we were going to need anything, and we need that. So let's see what happens when there's no money in your category, yet you still make a credit card purchase. In that case, what you see is we have our hobby with no money assigned, and our credit card payment, we don't owe anything at this point. It's sitting there with nothing. So now I record this transaction in my Visa account to say I spent $50 in hobby. So hobby will recognize I spent $50. It turns yellow, and you'll see that the one on the bottom has a little credit card icon with an exclamation mark. That indicates that I have spent credit card money, and I will create new credit card debt unless I cover that spending. The other thing you can see is that nothing moved over to the credit card payment at all because there was nothing to move. So when we come back to the budget category, we can see we have 0 set aside for the payment. We owe the credit card company $50. You've used credit to pay for this hobby. So what am I going to do now? Now I need to go find the money somewhere else in my budget if I don't want to create new credit card debt. If you are consciously choosing to make credit card debt with this, say it's a planned purchase and you are going to pay it back over time, you can leave it there, and then when you need to pay it in the future, you would assign the money directly to the credit card in the future. But let's say we want to, best practice, cover that debt now. What do we do? In this case, we go and we see books has $75 in it. We haven't spent any. Tell books, take $50 out of the amount of money we've assigned there. That will leave us $25, and move $50 over to the hobby. So you can see the assign becomes 50, but the balance is 0. So we move the $50 there. YNAB will automatically then take that $50, move it to the credit card payment category, and add that activity that we've got $50 in there, because now it's funded. In the past, you would be able to see the 0, but it's not funded, and that's really what this envelope is looking for, is the funded portion. And then I come back to the main screen. I now can see that my $50 is sitting in my Visa payment, which matches my account. So the next thing we're going to cover is making a return on your credit card. Now, this credit card return could be in the same month, or it could be in the following month, but this is what will happen when you do the return. We have in this month, let's say in this example, we returned it in this month. So we see that we've assigned 50, we spent 50, and that money is sitting aside for the credit card payment. What will happen is I record the fact that I've returned it. So now my $50 should be back in my hobby. YNAB will then automatically move that $50 by creating a transaction to say this funded activity needs to move back to the hobby. And when I come back, I can see I owe no money to the Visa, and I have my $50 back in my hobby category. The next thing that can happen is you can make a return and it will result in a positive balance on your credit card. Now, you're not going to get new money into your credit card. It's just showing that it's returned, but you have a positive balance. Let's say we've paid our credit card with our $50 that we owed. We've already paid it, and now we're looking at the hobby. We're going to return our hobby item. So I would record in here that I have $50 cash, but it's almost like it becomes a credit, because what happens is I didn't owe the credit card any company already. I had paid it down to 0. I've returned it, so now I have, as you can see on the left, a positive amount on my credit card, and I've got $50 in my hobby. So it gets a little funky here sometimes, but basically you've got a credit to spend. And so what would happen now, I have that $50 in my hobby, and let's say I spent $20, it would reduce my balance down to $30, and it would move to the credit card payment. Hey, I've spent $20, let's use that credit. And so there's no money moving over there. Again, we can see here that there's 0 money set aside for payment because I don't need to send money to the credit company, and I've just used the credit that's on it to reduce. Now let's say I don't need to spend that remaining $30 credit in my hobby. I can move that credit to my books. So I would reduce that $30 and move it over to my books, and then I can continue using it. The next big question that always happens with credit cards is, what happens with my credit card rewards? So let's see what happens when you have a credit card reward and it reduces the amount you owe on your statement. Here, we're actually going to go and look at the account. So the first thing we have is our account has a $50 balance. We owe it $50, and we have $50 set aside. When I have a credit card reward, you can see I wrote a payee of credit card rewards. Inflow it to the ready to assign because this is new money coming in, but it's just reducing the amount I owe to the credit card company. So now when I do that, you can see my balance on the credit card is only $30, but I've set aside $50. Now YNAB doesn't know where I want to send that $20. It isn't linked to my hobby. It isn't linked to any other category. So YNAB needs you to tell it where to move the money. And so we come back to the screen. We can see we have $50 set aside and $30. So we come back to our envelope, and we would tell the envelope, hey, I want to move this money to the hobby category because I want to buy more yarn again. So I would tell YNAB to take $20 away from my credit card payment, leaving me $30 cash in there, and move that $20 I no longer need to set aside for the credit card payment to go to the hobby. I now have $20 in there, and now my payment is $30. I owe the Visa $30. The other thing that can happen with credit card rewards is it can result in your statement going positive. And so it's really key to be checking to see whether or not your payment went into the positive. So we'll look here, we've paid off our credit card completely, and then we have a credit card reward come in. Again, we're going to assign it to the inflow, and it's $50. So now it has a $50 working balance. But this isn't money that we had before. So we enter that credit card reward as an inflow ready to assign $50, and now we have $50 positive. Now again, it's not reducing what we owe because we didn't owe anything. So what's going to happen is it's actually going to move it to ready to assign, because these are new dollars coming into our credit card. It's just that it's on the credit card. Now I could simply move that money to my hobby, $50, and then I'd be using it, or I could use it wherever. Now the other fun thing that happens once in a while when you're managing your credit cards, especially if you are making multiple payments and not just paying your statement date because you're trying to learn how YNAB works, is you could accidentally send the credit card company more than you owe. So what do you need to do in that situation? You're going to need to cover it, but let's look and see what happens in the background. So here we have our credit card payment. We've got $50 set aside for it, ready to go. Now we come in and for some reason we pay $100. And now I get a red warning that you have sent the credit card company more money than you had set aside. You actually sent cash. Cash is a big problem because now you can't trust. That means that $50 had to come from somewhere else in your budget. And you need to tell YNAB, where is that cash coming from? If you don't, it'll subtract it from your cash for next month, because YNAB is a cash-based system. So let's see what happens. So we can go, again, we go back to our hobby. We see the $50. We take $50 out of our hobby, and we say $50 out of our hobby, and then we tell YNAB to move that $50 to our credit card payment. It flows through, as you saw, goes down. So we add $50, we spent the $100, and we have a balance of $0. And those are the common scenarios that we can see with credit cards. I hope you found this very helpful with understanding YNAB a little bit better in getting the visualizations. We'll have another video coming up soon with just the basics of how YNAB works, and we hope you'll join us again then. Thanks, and we'll see you again next time.